we're going through the fundamentals of the Java programming language, and we already had a look at how do we use variables and when do we need to put in the explicit typecast and when we don't, right? Now I think it's a good time to look at how do you take in user input in Java from runtime to make our programs dynamic, guys, right? You understand that because this is hard coded values. These are all hard coded values which are strictly not recommended. Why? Because they make the nature of your program quite static, right? Because this program is always going to print in 567.0 to you, and obviously we don't want that. We want this to print in different values at different execution times. And for that, to give you a demonstration of how do we take in runtime values in Java, I'm quickly creating a new class for you. Through the wizard, in the same package, com.valid.training, I'm naming this class as user input, or appropriately, let's call it taking user input, guys. And you're seeing I'm following the camel case way of naming identifiers. I'll strongly suggest you do the same, because in today's era and time, being a developer or an engineer is no rocket science, as I always tell my learners or students, because there's so much help on the internet, YouTube, sites like Udemy, Coursera, and all. That is, you have so much at your comfort. But what distinguishes a good from a bad developer these days is how good you are with the code quality, how better readable are your identifiers, how well are you with commenting your code, or how well are you with documenting your code as well, right? So that is why we should always follow these industry standard mechanisms. So I'll have the main method, and this is it. We have a new class. Let's just maximize this, and then, so how do you take in user input in Java? Technically, you can do that from the mains spatial string array as well, right? So I'll not go into that because that's an unpopular and inefficient way to take user input, right? I'll go with what is the recommended way and what is the effective way of taking user input in Java, guys. So that is through a class, inbuilt class called scanner, right? And we create an object of that. So I'm just doing that for you. I'll say create an object of scanner, of the scanner class, right? And you do it like this. You say scanner, hit control space. It is in the package java.util, right? This particular one. So hit enter and it would be auto imported for you. That is the great thing with your friend Eclipse. See, it imports it from java.util.scanner. So I'll just call it the scan. You can call it anything, the reference variable, and I'll say new scanner, right? And we'll say system.in, because we are going to take in the input not from a file but from the console. And then once we've created an object scanner, I'll just print out a message to the user. I'll say please enter a value, or please enter your name, right? So the name that user enters is, I can take that from the scanner class method. So there is a method. So I can say string. More about strings in details. We have a couple of sessions for strings. It is a comprehensive API in Java. So please hold on. We'll have a look at this. But for now, string is a bunch of characters that you can take from user or just put it statically as well. So I'll say string. I'll create a variable. I'll call it username. In camel case, U small N capital, and then I can say the scan, it has a method dot next line, which takes strings from user at runtime, guys, and puts that into my username, and then I can just print it out on the console. I can just say welcome and then username, right? You'll hit save and you'll hit run. See, please enter your name is what I'm getting on the console, and the cursor is blinking, right? It won't move until I press a bunch of characters and hit enter. I'll say, please enter your name. I'll say Walid, right? Hit enter. See, welcome Walid. This is dynamic. You run this program again, obviously a different piece of output. You say, please enter your name. I say Steffi, for example. Welcome Steffi. See, every time I run this program, chances are you're going to get different output. You run it again. Please enter your name. This time I'll say, for example, Anil says, welcome Anil on screen for you guys. That is how we do it with scanner, right? And let's say you want to take in numbers, I can do that as well. I'll comment this. Or for example, let's take this as well. And I'll say, please enter your name and ID, right? So I'll take the first with the scan.nextLine, that is the string. And then the second one, that is when the user enters his or her ID, I can say int, for example, user ID in camel case again. And this time there's a method in the scanner class that is next int. And what does it return? See, int, right? Hit enter. This would take in what you would provide at runtime and put that into the user ID. And you can say welcome username, and I can concatenate it. I can say your ID is, let's say, user ID, right? Hit save and run this. See, waits for me. Please enter your name and ID. I say, for example, this time the name as Umar, and waits for the ID as well. I say 541. See, welcome Umar, your ID is 541. Just put in the R there, right? Run it again. Please enter your name and ID. I say, for example, the name here is Gargi, and the ID, for example, see, welcome Gargi, your ID is 622. This makes for a dynamic nature to this program, guys, right? So I hope it was clear with how do you take user input from a runtime in Java. So I'll see you guys in the next video.